This is Campus News, reporting the top stories from colleges and universities.
Next on Campus News,
see how MSUM dancers are preparing potential teammates with their dance clinic.
At MSUM, an a cappella group gave a noteworthy performance.
See what kids in MSUM's coding program are creating behind the computer screen.
But first, students take a stand by walking out. Good morning and welcome to Campus News. I'm Hannah Norton.
And I'm Benjamin Reiki. 17 people injured and 17 lives lost, 1 month after the mass school shooting in Parkland, Florida.
Reporter Pony White follows MSUM students as they join the nationwide walkout to remember the victims and advocate for change.
Standing in the center of MSUM's campus mall, chants can be heard from students and faculty.
What do we want? Gun control! When do we want it?
One strong voice is that of student and mother, Kayla Greger.
And I call upon Trump to ask the following. Can you guarantee me that my own child won't be left motherless while I'm expected to save the lives of other people's children?
I'm not worried about my kid making friends. I'm not worried about who they're going to sit by in class. I'm worried about, are you even going to come home today?
Future educator Selena Hertel, like the others gathered around her, are seeking a change in the country's gun policy.
Want a gun in your home, you should have to go through a background check and go through the classes and courses to learn how to carry a gun.
While recent political conversations have been geared towards arming teachers,
where a teacher would have a concealed gun on them,
Hertel fears this reality.
And if I was willing, what if I paralyzed in the moment? I froze and I would have to live with the guilt for the rest of my life that I didn't do something.
Although the students were proud of the turnout, they wish there was more support from MSUM's Student Senate. Student Senate President Colleen Kruger explains it wasn't a lack of support.
And since Student Senate is a nonpartisan organization who represents students on both sides of the aisle, typically like on gun control, we have to represent all equal students, so we kept it neutral.
But not everyone agrees.
I don't think it's a partisan issue. We never affiliated it with a party. I think it's like you care about your kid's life kind of an issue.
Regardless of the obstacles, these students are making their voices heard.
We are the generation that says not one more.
With photographer Anthony Frigen, Pony White, Campus News.
This past week, another school shooting occurred at Great Mills High School in Maryland, leaving 2 students injured. Great Mills is the 17th school shooting this year.
Police say a student made multiple bomb threats to Solano Community College in California. Authorities arrested 50-year-old Louverize Bynes on suspicion of leaving the bomb threats. 2 separate calls were made to the university, saying bombs were hidden on all 3 of the college's campuses. More than 8,000 students and 500 staff were evacuated from the university. Police say they traced the number behind the call to Bynes' address. She's currently in custody and awaiting a trial date.
6 people are dead after a pedestrian bridge collapsed at Florida International University. The bridge connected FIU to the city of Sweetwater and was still under construction when it came crashing down. The cables of the bridge were being tightened when the collapse happened. Engineers of the bridge left a voicemail to the Florida Department of Transportation saying there were cracks in the concrete. That voicemail wasn't heard until after the collapse.
A study from the National Association of Colleges and Employers found there's a disconnect between what businesses want and what skills new graduates can offer. Reporter Mary Jo Vick spoke with students and employers about what they think graduates should know going into the workforce.
As a company that employs over 1,600 people, American Crystal knows what competencies they want and need.
The NACE study listed 8 competencies desired by employers. We asked which 5 were most important.
Critical thinking and problem solving is very important. Leadership ability, oral and written communication is also something that we think is definitely needed. Professionalism with a good strong work ethic, and then being able to work in a team.
At MSUM, the director of the Career Development Center has advice for job seekers and experience on what competencies were important.
Be networked would be the first advice that I would give. So the first one that I would circle is critical thinking and problem solving. The reason that is I've served on so many employer advisory committees, and that is the one that they cite every single time.
A student who is graduating in May, gave his opinion about which 5 competencies are most important to employers.
Our generation has trouble actually staying on the same task and working hard at it. They want to have somebody who can think outside the box and be able to understand, what it is that they're doing, how to get around obstacles. People need to be able to think critically about what's going on.
With photographer Katie Mulcrone, Mary Jo Vick, Campus News.
In a mini-survey filled out by Rodert, Nils, and Brackey, all three agreed critical thinking, professionalism, and teamwork were the most valuable traits a student can have.
More than 6 months after Hurricane Harvey, areas of Texas are still devastated. More than 1,000 college students volunteered their spring breaks to journey down to the south to see what they could do to help. Reporter Shay Dolly brought us down to Texas for a closer look at their efforts.
Hurricane Harvey struck Texas in late August of 2017. The little town of Rocheron, which lies only 30 miles south of Houston, is one community that's still hurting months after this disaster.
The atmosphere at the time that we came was definitely one, I would say, of defeat.
Crew, a Christian college organization, partnered with Rebuild South Texas to bring students down to volunteer over their spring breaks in order to bring hope back to the residents of this community.
I firmly believe that God calls us to serve other people and not ourselves. And I think that in the times of my life where I'm more focused on serving others and having a heart of service, it's like the happiest I've been.
Students who had never worked in construction were taught new skills and given a variety of tasks.
I was surprised on how serious they were about letting us do jobs that we weren't experts on, like running saws and using insane sledgehammers and demolishing houses without ever doing it before.
Construction wasn't the only mission of this trip. Many students spent their days interacting with the Rocheron residents and listening to their stories.
And I got to have a few really impactful conversations with people that just shine a lot of hope in my life. It was just this person lost everything and they're way happier than I am. I really need to check where I am, and so that was really cool.
These students say they will take what they've learned and bring it back to their campus to help in areas of need within their own cities. Shay Dolly, Campus News.
Volunteer coordinators say efforts to rebuild Rocheron will continue until the job is done. To see how you can help, visit rebuildsouthtexas.org. A famous rapper is helping young immigrants reach their college dreams. Hip-hop artist French Montana is launching a campaign to help undocumented immigrants through college. French Montana, an immigrant himself, is working with MTV and Get Schooled. Get Schooled is a nonprofit focused on increasing high school graduation rates and college attendance across the country. The team will focus on getting the students in touch with the right resources to get them enrolled and through college. Video games are often thought of as a pastime for children and adults.
But for some kids, MSUM's coding program is teaching them how to make the video games they love to play. Reporter Zach Hoffner shows the creative side of these young computer whiz kids.
To most, oohs and ahs from children gathered around a computer screen is no surprise. What Tristan Sundet and others are cheesing about might be.
I've been watching YouTube videos on how make different games, and I decided to stop doing that and start trying to make my own thing for once.
Yes, you heard him correctly. Make his own thing, as in video games.
It's a really difficult game.
He and others are attending coding classes held by MSUM computer science students.
So right now the kids are working on building platform games using Scratch, which is a drag and drop programming interface.
And if that sounds a little confusing, I'll let somebody more advanced than me tell you about it.
Well, currently I am working on a platformer which is where you get to move the arrow keys and your sprite will move, and it's basically your standard game to play.
She's been coding for 2 years, and she's only in the 6th grade.
It all made sense.
Whether it be the social aspect,
I can make games and have other people play them,
or to inspire others.
Because then people could look at it and say, wow, can I do something like that?
The joy brought to the class can clearly be seen.
Nobody walks out of here without smiling, which is really cool. They love it.
But for these students, The joy is as simple as seeing it all come together.
Yeah, I really like when it starts to work, because that means you accomplished something.
With photographer Branson Reeser, Zach Hoffner, Campus News.
Classes are filling up very fast, and organizers say one of the biggest challenges is staying ahead of the pace their students are learning at. The Bison are one of the best. North Dakota State University's blended nursing program is being nationally recognized. The online bachelor degree offered by NDSU is listed as number 4 in the country. NDSU received the honor from the review site bestcolleges.com. Director of the website, Stephanie Snyder, credits NDSU's affordable and flexible approach for the high ranking. The blended program offers both online and on-campus classes.
On a previous episode of Campus News, reporter Ben Blanchard found out how hundreds of pounds of food are being thrown away every day on Fargo Moorhead campuses. Now he's back to show what one college is doing to fight it.
The age-old saying, out of sight, out of mind, is one that Concordia College in Moorhead is trying to break with their food waste prevention program, Taste Not Waste.
This is an awareness-raising campaign today. That's why we're having the students scrape their plates, trying to connect to what they're doing.
And what they're doing is throwing away perfectly good food, around 8,000 pounds of it a month. This campaign against food waste involves using clear buckets to show students the impact of their food waste and encouraging them to sample food before taking it. Copperwood says Concordia's efforts are making a difference.
We're down 15.9%, and that's a significant food reduction.
Some students also showed their support for the program.
I think people tend to throw things away and kind of turn their shoulder about where it goes or how much it actually is, and I think this will actually open their eyes to those things that we don't necessarily get to see.
The Taste Not Waste campaign aims to educate students without the guilt.
It's an awareness and an accountability for themselves, not for shaming them for leaving food on their plates.
With photographers Anthony Frigian and Jessica Colby, Ben Blanchard, Campus News.
Concordia plans to have 50% less food waste by 2020. Robots rule the room for some NDSU students. Education students at NDSU are utilizing the swivel robot to student teach in classes miles away from campus. The robot can move 360 degrees and records all the lessons the student teachers give. This allows the professors to stay in visual contact with the students to give them face-to-face feedback. NDSU Ed student Bailey Hawbaker says the recordings help her look back and critique her own teaching methods. Bailey is one of 6 NDSU students who take advantage of the swivel robot.
South Dakota State University researchers have found a new strain of influenza in horses. Antibodies against 2 strains of influenza D were found in horses at farms in South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and surrounding states. The SDSU team tested the blood of over 350 horses from over 100 farms in the Midwest for the antibodies. Researchers do not know what type of symptoms horses experience yet, but have seen transfer of the disease between horses and cattle. Cancer can be a devastating diagnosis, especially when it affects children. Photojournalist Robin Rohde shows how one group is spelling out the need for more awareness and research.
Pathology. Okay. P-A-T-H-O-L-G-Y.
Correct. So With Purpose is part of the Bateman campaign that PR students are a part of. Every year Bateman has a new organization that they have students campaign for. So last year was mental health awareness, and this year we have the opportunity to do With Purpose. To be honest, we were sitting around in a circle thinking of campaign themes, and one of my group members, Chelsea Ness, said, hey, let's do a spelling bee, and we all loved it, and that's where Be the Purpose came about. We're gonna give you a word and then a sentence, and then we'll give you the word again. If you get it wrong, please join us in the crowd and create some more crafts to give to children in children's hospitals. The sentences that we're giving for each word has a little snippet about With Purpose sometimes, so it's just a great opportunity to create more awareness and help people. Sydney, your word is gene. Some people are born with a gene mutation that they inherited from their mother or father. Spell gene.
G-N-E.
Yeah, correct. We just want to have a fun event that brings college students back to their childhood, but also create awareness so that college students know more about cancer research, because right now it is so underfunded and ignored that we want college students to know everything they possibly can about cancer research, as well as the organization with purpose.
The Bateman campaign will continue through April 30th.
Two campus organizations come together for a fun-filled night to help students unwind.
Reporter Melissa Gonzalez gets some late-night snacks for a student slumber party.
The Dragon Entertainment Group and the 11 teamed up to provide games, food, and beverages for Pajama Lab students. Danny and her friend Ryan go to a lot of events that the Dragon Entertainment Group hosts throughout the school year.
Really fun time to hang out with my friends and peers, and I'm never going to turn out hanging out in pajamas outside of my dorm, and it just sounded really fun.
And the Pajama Rama event has a bunch of fun activities, just like coloring.
The Pajama Rama and other events are always a great way to take some time off of school and just like have some fun with your fellow students and classmates.
The 11, another MSUM student group that serves drinks at events, was present, mixing their signature mocktails to serve to students. David Hessian loves working with people, and for Pajama Rama, he happily brought his bed buddy.
I also have my stuffed moose, Pierre, the French-Canadian moose.
It's great, you know, I don't really have pajamas myself. I just brought some sweats, and, you know, it's just, you know, I came here to have a good time with friends.
And after a full evening of games, food, and performances, these students can go straight to bed without even changing their clothes. With photographer James McCarty, Melissa Gonzalez, Campus News.
The 11 started as a venue to provide safe alternatives to drinking. Now they serve drinks all over campus and have gone to NDSU, MSCTC, Concordia, and local high schools.
When waiting to see what her career would hold, one Ohio medical student got a surprise that had nothing to do with her years of studying. Latimer Collins opened her envelope during National Match Day to find where she would be stationed for residency, and found her boyfriend of 3 years on one knee. Andrew Anamanya asked to marry Collins, and she said yes. The couple will move to Pennsylvania as Collins enters the OBGYN residency program at the University of Pittsburgh. Collins was just one of 156 University of Toledo medical students who were matched to residencies in 29 states.
Sometimes a passion can take you very far.
But as reporter Zach Vinny shows us, one Concordia's senior passion for music is taking him places most in his profession don't get to go.
I'm just kind of riffing at this point.
Sam Gaines has always had an ear for music.
Completely honestly, that my high school choir director was a really cool guy who got me inspired about choir.
It was that teacher who moved Gaines to make it into a career.
And I decided that I wanted to be the teacher that inspired students.
Following his love of music and travel, Gaines accepted a job that's taking him from Moorhead all the way to Kuwait.
I'm excited. There's not a lot of fear.
The only thing Gaines feared was teaching in a rural Minnesota town, which pushed him to find work outside of the U.S.
I don't know if I'm fully prepared for the reality of that. Like, little warm-ups, ready to go.
Gaines can't wait to be in an unknown country and to be immersed in a new culture.
So I hope to learn as much from them as they hopefully will learn from me. Well, and it creates lots of good space.
Until his big move in August, Gaines is going to try and get in as much Minnesota lifestyle as possible.
Yeah, eat a lot of hot dish. Try to go skiing.
With photographer Robin Rohde, Zach Vinny, Campus News.
Gaines will be teaching music education in a Kuwait City middle school starting next school year.
And now we turn it over to Tyler Ziegler for a look at this week's sports. Ty, what's up?
I got some March Madness controversy for you guys today, and it's got nothing to do with the brackets we filled out. The NCAA would not allow Butler University to bring their live mascot, a bulldog named Butler Blue III, to the NCAA tournament. The Indiana College is one of many affected by the NCAA ban. This ban prevents live mascots from attending games during March Madness. The concern is based on the limited space available during tournament time. The NCAA believes they are looking out for not only the safety of the fans, but the animals as well. However, mascots like Blue are allowed to cheer from outside the arena. For every car, there's a mechanic, and for every athlete, there's an athletic trainer. Reporter Alexis Kennedy brings us behind the scenes to meet the undergrads, keeping MSUM athletes at the top of their game.
Every occupation has a starting point, but it's here that MSUM undergrad athletic trainers get hands-on experience for their careers. Chuck Meek is going on 10 years of athletic training at MSUM and oversees the students every day.
What they learn in class, we try and apply it to the clinical side of it. So on a day-to-day basis with them, if we have someone that comes in with an injury, we will supervise them as they go over history questions and the eval process and kind of guide them along the way with that.
When you think of athletic training, you might just think, oh, they tape ankles or fill ice bags, but these students have to learn so much more than that. Patrick Liebel, an undergrad student in athletic training, showed me his skills firsthand.
You take more of the modalities, kind of all the machines that we get to use, all the exercise classes, and more of the general medical stuff. When you get into here at the athletic training room, a lot of what we do is evaluating athletes if somebody gets hurt and what the best treatment for them is going to be.
Morgan Fry is also a junior at MSUM and transferred here from Southwest Minnesota State to finish her degree in athletic training because it was not offered there.
Where you're at. I just finished my first year of the athletic training program. Each setting has different outcomes out of it, so right now I'm in indoor track, and so I get a lot of the overuse injuries working with the athletes and kind of applying what we learn in class.
They just came into the program last year, and with them as younger students, we're still getting them to hone their skills.
Both Patrick and Morgan plan on graduating next spring with their undergrad athletic training degrees, with plans of moving on to grad school. With photographer Chrissy Ness, Alexis Kennedy, Campus News Sports.
MSUM athletic training students will travel with their teams to all of their sporting events. Next season will feature a new coach on the sidelines for the North Dakota State University women's soccer team. The Beinheiser Josh Purdom as its new assistant women's coach. Before coming to NDSU, Purdom was the assistant coach for Eastern Kentucky University for 2 seasons. Bison head coach Mike Regan says he's looking forward to having a coach who has experienced success to help him on the sidelines. Purdom has also served as an assistant coach for 2 conference-winning teams, Northern Colorado and Drake. For the first time in 15 years, the University of North Dakota men's hockey team will not be playing for a national championship. The Fighting Hawks won a consolation game in the National Collegiate Hockey Conference tournament, but it was not enough to keep their season alive. Boston University and Princeton won their respective conference tournaments. These wins were enough to knock UND out of the NCAA tournament. The Hawks finished their season with a 17-13-10 record. Their 15-year streak of making the tournament was the longest active in the nation. Now we're going to high kick our way into the Dragon Dance Studio to see how future MSUM dancers are improving their skills. Reporter Alexis Kennedy takes us to a dance clinic hosted right here at MSUM.
Turns, toe points, and leaps are just some of what was taught at this year's MSUM Dance Clinic.
Our prep clinic is really just kind of giving an idea of what our tryouts are going to be like in April.
Captains Amanda Mitchell and Aaron Christensen led the clinic in teaching the girls what it's like to be an MSUM dancer.
We have like specific palm motions we have to do with our arms, like in specific places. There's also turns in that, and it's a lot of jumps. So it's like a high energy, a lot of like the wow factor. I'm most excited to see like all of the young girls coming up because I know there's a lot of girls here today, and I'm hoping that some of them decide to come here eventually because that would be awesome.
The camp welcomed girls ages 13 to 17, including a couple potential dancers trying out for the team in the spring, like Brooke Jennison.
7, 8, MSUM has always been like my dream college to go to ever since I was younger, and then I just want to dance too, so I'm like, that's perfect.
We're only having 7 girls attend the camp last year. It's been a real turnaround to the 40 girls that attended this year.
I think it's really about outreach, so we have a lot of different high school teams, junior high teams that send their girls to our tryout clinic, which is cool because, you know, in future years, hopefully they have come to our clinic and they realize that, oh, I want to be a dragon when I grow up and I want to be on the dance team.
With the only coach ever coming back for a second season, the growth of the MSUM dance team is only expected to grow over the next few years. With photographer Chrissy Ness, Alexis Kennedy, Campus News Sports.
The MSUM dance team will be holding their tryouts for next year's team in April. I fully expect both of you two to be trying out.
If only Ben is my partner.
Let's start practicing now.
I think you guys would be an all right team.
Thanks, Ty. Fresh off their appearance at the Vanity Fair Oscar party, a former Moorhead a cappella group has brought their show on the road to MSUM.
Reporter Zach Vinny brings us to MSUM's Weld Hall for this aka performance.
Former Concordia a cappella group Six Appeal are no strangers to the FM area. Since gaining fame, the group has expanded its talent pool, adding beatboxer Andrew Berkowitz to the roster.
Luckily, when I got to college, I had an RA who was a beatboxer, and I kind of watched and studied him, and I'm doing it every day since.
While hoping to entertain, they also want to show their own a cappella style.
We're always trying to make each other laugh, and I feel like, you know, if you bring the audience in on the joke, then the audience has a great time too.
Their personal brand,
we play it pretty loose,
has brought them to events like the 2013 Sugar Bowl and the 2018 Vanity Fair Oscar party.
That is totally scary. First person we saw was Ron Swanson. So it was kind of like, okay, Ron Swanson likes our a cappella music.
Ron Swanson isn't their only fan. The fan base continues to grow with every concert. The group will continue pleasing ears with their pitch-perfect music on the rest of their tour. With photographer Jacob Ambrose, Zach Vinny, Campus News.
Six Appeal will be finishing up their tour at the end of May. And that's it for this edition of Campus News.
We leave you with another look at Six Appeal.
Thanks for joining us and have a great week.
Campus News is produced by the Television News Workshop in the School of Communication and Journalism at Minnesota State University Moorhead in cooperation with Prairie Public Television.